Since Season 3 of Warzone is here, and lots of new things blah, blah, blah. Since Season 3 of Warzone is here, and lots of new things ranging from the new ground loot from Cold War to the new and improved Gulag is here, I thought that I would make a short video outlining some of the new changes that I think are relevant today. Firstly, the ground loot has changed from Modern Warfare weapons to Cold War weapons, which in my opinion is a good thing. I'm a particular believer in Cold War. I like it better than Modern Warfare. I know I'm in the minority there, but I just overall think it's a better game. It implements some better features like DLSS. That's the only one I can name right now. Anyways, this could be an indicator for how future Call of Duties are integrated. In the future, we might have, let's say the new Call of Duty comes out this year, and then 5 months later, which I think is a fair estimate, at least 5 months later, the new weapons from that game will be added to Warzone and replacing the Cold War weapons. I can see this being a route that whoever is in charge of Warzone in the future takes. It makes sense, right? The developers develop these guns and all the maps and things, and they can just place them into Warzone later as opposed to having to make Warzone a completely separate thing from Call of Duty. And with how popular Call of Duty is, although not as well received as others sometimes, you know, in Cold War's example, in comparison to Modern Warfare, I think this is a good path moving forward. It keeps Warzone fresh. It's probably good for the longevity of Warzone itself. With that being said, you can definitely feel how some of the ground loot seems a little overpowered. The LC-10 and the Street Sweeper, for example, are two that I can think of right off the top of my head. The LC-10 is able to outgun some shotguns up close in some cases, and the Street Sweeper is just a monstrosity, dropping and getting a white Street Sweeper, which is very common around the map. You can obliterate somebody that picked up a 3x AK or a sniper right off the bat, or even an AR up close, you know? With the Street Sweeper being a common ground loot weapon, I think it's a little bit overpowered. In some tight situations, you know, in buildings and short range scenarios, this is definitely borderline broken in my opinion. Secondly, I want to address the new POIs. This is perhaps the biggest and most necessary change to Warzone that I think they've made so far. They've made a bunch of these changes in the past, updating a little bit of the map at a time, but we've never seen something to this scale. And so I think that this is probably the biggest change that they've made. And we definitely needed it. The new POIs include Salt Mines, Summit, Array, and Factory. These may be the only new named locations, but the map has definitely changed in a lot of ways other than just that. For example, the push from Hospital to downtown is now a little bit easier because in the gully there in between, you can actually move because there's a little bit of cover down there. So you're not in an open area for, you know, a minute and a half while you're trying to cross that gully. Also, in reference to the map itself seems overall brighter and more vibrant. And I think that's a good thing, especially because the console players don't have access to things like NVIDIA filters. And so this could help level the playing field a little bit. Seeing those rose skins in a dark corner is really difficult if you don't have the filters on. And even now, it's a little bit broken still in some areas. I know that when you're climbing the stairs in certain buildings in downtown, you can definitely tell that it's still a little bit dark to see that skin. But I think it's a little bit better now. There's lights. I think that in the future, I'll have to adjust some of my NVIDIA broadcast settings, or NVIDIA filter settings rather, because it seems a little bit too bright at the moment. And lastly, I want to go back to the weapons a little bit. You can definitely feel that the meta is going to change with this update. Like I was saying earlier, the LC-10 feels really strong right now. It feels kind of like an MP7 as far as the accuracy goes, and a MAC-10 as far as the damage goes. Back when MAC-10 was in its prime. This thing is nuts. Now, like you need to give this a try. It'll be interesting to see how the meta shakes out, how the community is going to receive this. I think overall it's probably going to be positive because everyone in Warzone has wanted to change for a while. There were a lot of people, including my friends, who were thinking about quitting Warzone just because of how stale it's become. And I think this is a way to bring back some of those players that were on the border and then bring in some new players. I think that the changes with DLSS is going to be huge. I think it's going to bring in a lot more. That's one of the reasons I stuck with Cold War a lot of the time over Warzone is because the DLSS is crazy. I get so much better frames. And I think that's huge to bring in some of the people that have, you know, the 1050 Ti or the 1060, which is what the highest used graphics card on Steam is right now, is the 1060. So I think that implementing some of those changes is going to be huge, bringing some of those players in. Overall, I think the devs really paid attention to detail here. And one example that my friend was telling me about was quarry. Quarry became salt mines, which, if you understand how this happened, after a salt mine is used up, it becomes a quarry. I think that's really neat. I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed that and I thought it was really cool. And that's almost everything I have. There is a new contract that I have not been able to pick up because every time I've tried, I've gotten absolutely blitzed. And that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. What do you think of the update? Do you think the weapons feel overpowered? Also, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button. I go live on YouTube now on this channel. I don't post very many videos anymore, but I go live here and I post all my shorts on TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok, hit that follow button. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, guys. And I hope y'all have a good day. Take it easy.